Alrighty, guys, welcome to another broadcast of Menshrine. For today's topic, we should have a fun one. I have a lot of people reach out to me through my DMs or even some of my coaching clients and friends and family, even, and they ask me the question, Jaron, am I fat or fit? And that's a good question to ask because a lot of people really don't know. And the problem is when people do come out and say that, oh, this is my certain body fat percentage, a lot of them grossly underestimate their body fat percentage. I'm sure you guys have seen me on shows before where people call in and they say, oh, yeah, I'm probably like 10% body fat. And you can see on the camera, the guy's clearly something like 20% plus. So I know there's a lot of confusion in this space in terms of what is my body fat percentage or what does that even mean? So for today's topic, we're going to dive in and explore just that. Before we get going into the topic, I want to do some housekeeping items real quick. Be sure to follow me on Instagram if you need to reach out directly at Jaren Scott, JarenScott, or at Menshrine. That is the best way to reach me directly. You can also go to menshrine.com, which is the hub for all of my content. Sign up for the email list. There's all sorts of cool stuff I have coming out this year and head to patreon.com/menshrine for any of my premium communities. Also, if you go to menshrine.com, I do a couple things that I can help you out with. So if you need one-on-one coaching, there's a tab for that. I can do a sponsored video request for YouTube, so feel free to take advantage of that. And then if you just like the content, you don't know how to help or you don't have much to give in terms of support, there's a donate tab there too. So anything as little as like $5 works just to support the Menshrine mission here. So one more thing that I want to note before we dive into the topic and jump into the presentation is when it comes to body fat percentages, when I say the term fat, it's not a judgment call. So I'm not saying, oh, you're less than a person because you are fat. When I refer to fat, keep it in your mind that I'm referring to it in purely a scientific or academic sense. So really fat is just an excess of energy stored within the cells in your body, or a lot of people call it adipose tissue. It's the same thing. So when I refer to fat, I'm not saying that you're a terrible person, you're less than because you're fat. I'm referring to your body composition in general. So keep that in mind as we move forward and keep an open mind here. Um, Also, too, you might recognize yourself in some of these photos, and that is the point of this. And if you do find that you're in a higher body fat percentage, that's absolutely fine. Again, you go to menshrine.com, reach out to me a couple of ways, and I can certainly help you out with that. For those who haven't seen it, I'll post a link in the description to my fit to or fat to fit transformation video. It's a nice long broadcast. I go like 3 hours into it, and I go through a photo journey of my personal experience. So also keep that in mind if you're thinking, oh, this guy's being judgmental or who the hell is he to talk about body fat. I've been all of these body fat ranges before you're about to see on the screen. I've been obese and I've been really fit, and I've gotten to the point where I've actually gotten too lean. I went to a music festival one time and probably mid single digit body fat percentages. Of course, drank and barely ate anything all weekend. I actually ended up in the hospital for being dehydrated. So I know we live in a society where people say, oh, beautiful any size or big is beautiful. We're going to see very quickly that big is not beautiful. A lot of guys follow me because they want to touch on dating topics and want to figure out ways to attract women. No woman on the planet finds morbidly obese guys beautiful or attractive. So keep that in mind too, guys. This is something you need to get in check. And then also too, if you need another reminder of why you need to keep your body fat percentages in a healthy range, and once more, we'll explore that here in a second, what that looks like. We just got done getting over a global pandemic, and now that the data is coming out and people are starting to understand what exactly happened, we know very clearly that those that have comorbidities, and obesity being one of those, will put you at a higher risk of suffering negative consequences or possibly fatal consequences from said virus that's been going around. And that's any illness. So you guys, you really can't afford to let yourself get that far gone. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the topic, and let me start my screen share here. And if you haven't done so already, guys, while I'm setting this up, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave any comments if you have questions or comments below. Hit the notification bell so you are aware of when I go on live and do interesting topics such as this one. And be sure to like the video if you actually like. Okay, looks like we have this up. I'm going to go full screen and make sure it actually works. It looks like it does. Let me look at my StreamYard. Alrighty, cool. Let's get going. And I actually jumped ahead. So Here on this first slide, we're going to see just a basic breakdown of body fat percentages. So if you look on the right-hand side, and for those that are audio only, I'll try to give a verbal description of what we're looking at. So on the right-hand side, we have 9 images. There are various body fat ranges from the leanest, which is 3 to 4% body fat, up to 40% body fat. Now, of course, we all know if anyone's walked around society lately or gone out in public, especially in the United States, 40% is not the cap. There are people that are well over 40% body fat. On the leaner side, on the leanest side, 3 to 4%. It's probably about the leanest you want to go. You do need, I believe it's 1 to 2% body fat for just basic organ function. So you don't want to go too lean. There's also negative health consequences there too. And on the left-hand side, I have 2 columns. One is a description of the different fat categories or body fat categories and the body fat percentages that correspond with those. And for the sake of this video, I'm talking body fat specifically for men. So for women, there are different considerations for my female audience members. And that's because women require a higher percentage of body fat for basic function. That's because they have reproductive organs that I'm sure we're all aware of. So that leads to those numbers being a bit different for men or women. So for example, something average for men would be leaner for women, or something that's fitness or athletes for women might be extreme, or I'm sorry, fitness or athletes for men might be extremely lean for women. So keep that in mind. For the sake of this video, we're speaking about male body fat percentages. And also, guys, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the chat there, and then I will get to it at the very, very end. So I'm not side railed or stray too much from the topic. So we'll go for a brief rundown of these body fat categories. So anything over 30% body fat is obese. Anything over 40%, and I'd say probably 35%, is morbidly obese. That means that you're going to have severe health consequences for carrying that much extra adipose tissue, or excess stored energy is what we're talking about in terms of body fat here on your frame. So you don't want to do that. Overweight is 22 to 29%. Average is 17 to 21%. Fitness level is 13 to 16%. Athletes is 6 to 12%, and essential fat is 2 to 5%. So you probably don't want to go too low on either end of the spectrum there. So we will jump into the first category, and we'll start off here going the fattest to the leanest. So here we have 40% body fat. This is actually, it's really fat, guys. That's a lot of weight. So this percentage is similar to the 35% level. However, there's a lot of fat accumulation on the stomach and especially in the waist region. So this is a point where basic daily activities like walking upstairs or even bending over to pick something up is very, very difficult. So at this body fat percentages, guys, technically, I know you might not like it if you're at this point. And again, it's not a judgment call, but you are morbidly obese. I talked to a couple of guys today that are nearing this range, and when they told me their numbers, they told me their height and then their body weight. I'm just like, oh my god, like you're gonna have a heart attack. Guys that are even younger, there are serious health consequences to carrying this, and also in terms of guys that follow me for attraction type things or how to optimize online dating or dating in general, you don't want this look. So in the picture, for those who are listening to audio only, there's a man who has a pretty big belly, pretty big sides, and it is very obvious that the belly protrudes or extends over the belt line quite considerably. So these are the people, if you see them out in public, they have like that balloon shape in their belly. Definitely not an attractive look. It's not something that you want to go for in terms of attracting the opposite sex, or more specifically, or more importantly, is for your health. You want to take care of your health more than anything. So for those who are thinking, okay, well, this topic might be a little vain. Yes, it is. It is nice to be very lean. There are benefits to being lean in terms of attention from the opposite sex, but more in generalized health, you want to stay in healthy body fat ranges. And here on the next slides, we'll see what that looks like as we're heading down. So again, this first slide is 40% body fat. That is morbidly obese. So if you are in this category, please, 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 for the love of God, or for me, or God, yourself too, do something about it. And if you don't know where to start, again, you can reach out to me on Instagram. There's a little ticker at the bottom of the screen there. I won't repeat myself as far as where to find me, and or menshrine.com. And you can get coaching. You can reach out to me for a sponsored video request, or just drop my DM on Instagram on either my personal or branded accounts, and I will get you in the right direction. 35% body fat. So this is still pretty fat, guys, although it's not as bad as the morbid obesity, but it's still up there. So as men get heavier, their fat tends to go to the stomach and gut. This is the telltale sign of guys that are fat. Again, go out in public, go anywhere in public, especially in the US, and you'll see that most of our society looks like this. very unfortunate with all the things going on in the media saying that it's okay to be fat. Once more, it is not. You need to get this taken care of. So this is your typical beer gut look when people say, oh, that guy's got a beer belly. Yes, there's a lot of body fat there, but if you also find yourself drinking, you probably have an inflamed liver too. So you want to look in that. And even if you're not drinking, when you carry high body fat percentages, you're going to have organ issues, and at some point they are going to fail. I told a good buddy earlier, I think he was telling me he's roughly 34, 35. I think he's almost 35. He's saying, yeah, I'm starting to get heart palpitations, or I have pain on my left side of my chest. I'm like, how much do you weigh? Probably at least 100 pounds overweight, if not getting pretty close to 100 pounds overweight. So you will start having health consequences if you are in these body fat ranges. And in this picture here, the waist circumference of your jeans. So your jeans are a good indicator. Granted, some guys have wider hips. Like I have wider hips. So even if my abdomen's really lean, I still have a narrower waist, or I'm sorry, a wider waist. Typically, I'm typically between 10 to 12% body fat. So my waist is usually like 30, maybe 31, depending upon the cut and fit or the manufacturer of the jeans. But in this picture at 35% body fat, the jeans are like 40 inches plus. And when I was obese, I think my peak fatness, I was 38% body fat, that's morbidly obese, or it's damn near close. I believe I was wearing size 42 jeans, and typically I'm at 30 or 31. If I'm really, really lean, I'm at a 29. So keep that in mind. Those sizes may differ based on your specific frame, but if you're 40 inches plus, guys, you probably have some excess body fat on your frame that you need to get taken care of. 30% body fat. So more fat is present around the body at the 30% level, including waist, back, thighs, and calves. The waist will appear slightly larger relative to the hips, and the man's stomach will most likely be protruding noticeably over the waist. So, guys, if you lift your shirt up and you can see your belly, like your gut actually hanging over, like an overhang, then you are still you're fat. 30% isn't as bad as morbidly obese, but you're still up there. So that's something you want to take care of immediately if you can. 25% body fat. So we're getting down. It's not as bad, but still it's not good. And um, I think at the end I'll explain how I break down body fat, but my categories are a little different than what's societally acceptable. It's the same thing when guys ask me questions about like testosterone replacement therapy. They say, "Oh, well, I'm in range for testosterone." Like, yeah, but you're in range of the entire population, and the most of the population has low testosterone levels. Same thing in this parallel with the fat percentage topic, that most of our society is overweight, if not obese. In fact, I think more than half of Americans are obese, if I'm not mistaken. So these numbers are likely skewed. So when they say, oh, you're in a healthy body fat range, or you're in an average body fat range, average doesn't necessarily mean healthy. So I'll clarify when we get into the lower ranges here. So at 25% body fat, there's almost no separation of muscles, no noticeable veins, no muscle striations. The waist begins to increase, and there may be a little neck fat. Guys, you can normally see it in the chin too when you have the higher body fat percentages, or you can see it in the fullness of the face. However, this body fat range, the guy might not look like he has 25% body fat in normal clothing. So guys in the mid 20s to lower 20% body fat range, I'd say that's pretty typical of most younger guys in America, and probably abroad too. I do a lot of traveling. I'm starting to see more and more fat people when I travel. It's not as bad as the United States, but it's getting there, and it's getting there quickly. So this will be a global epidemic soon. So again, this guy might not look like, for those that are seeing the visual, the guy in the picture, he might not look like he's fat in normal clothing, but over 25% body fat for a man, it's still considered obese. You still need to get it taken care of. And when you have that much fat, there's a lot of problems your body has metabolically and biologically. So guys ask me, I think I had a couple of guys recently ask me, they're in like the 20 to 25% body fat range. And they told me, oh, well, I want to have a nice muscular frame like you. So I think I need to go on a bulk. No. You do not need to go on a bulk if you're obese. You do not need to go on a bulk if you're overweight, because your body is not primed hormonally, or you don't have an optimal environment to put on that lean muscle mass. And in gaining muscle, you have to get in a caloric surplus. So you're going to put on more fat. Additionally, I've noticed, because I've bulked, I screwed up before, and we'll see some scans, some DEXA scans I did at the end of, I did it wrong one time. I started bulking at like 19% body fat, although I didn't do too bad. I ended up at, I believe, 21% body fat. So there was a bit of a recompensation effect, which recompensation means that you gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. So at the end, I had put on, I think, like 15 pounds muscle and then lost like a pound or two body fat. But with the new muscle, in ratio to the body fat, it actually brought me down, or no, it still put me up body fat wise, but not as much as it should have because I added more muscle to my frame too. In later videos or future videos, I'll break down how to calculate your own body fat, how to read a DEXA scan, and then I'll define what the golden ratio is. And then in my private communities, or if you want one-on-one coaching, I'll help you put a fitness plan together, so where we can define your dimensions and how to train to get that nice. I always advertise my services as create a perfect physique, and perfect physique in the sense that it fits the golden ratio, which the golden ratio is just the standard of beauty that you see in nature. Anything in nature that the human eye sees and your brain interprets, or your primal brain interprets as beauty, it fits the golden ratio. So I know that guys have different goals in the gym, but for me, I like to fit the golden ratio, or at least as close as possible. I'm not perfectly there, but I really try to fit the ideal dimensions. So back to this guy at 25%. So again, he might look all right in normal clothing. A lot of these guys might have the guts rather than flanks. When I was fat, I had the flanks, so it was nice when I lost the weight. I have a nice flat stomach, but I still have the flaccid skin on the side. So if you find yourself in any of these categories and you need to do like a tremendous amount of weight loss, go ahead and reach out to me again, because I do have experience here and I can help you with things like making sure that you minimize the amount of excess skin when you do start losing all that fat, because all that adipose tissue is gone, but your skin, especially when you're older, is not as elastic as it was before. So guys, if you're 25%, you're not you're not as bad as your 30, 35, 40%, but you're still getting up there. And at that point, your body wants to go up rather than go down, because you've already built the momentum over a long term of eating not correctly to get to this body fat percentage. You've already established your body's set point for being fat, so it's more likely to put on fat at this point. So you still want to be careful even at your 25%, but it's not as bad as your 30, 35, or your 40%. Moving on, 20% body fat. So this guy, he's starting to look more like a normal male shape in terms of physique, but obviously there's no definition. And this photo is kind of blurry, but if you see here, he has some folds under his pecs. So men at about this point, usually about the 20% body fat point, and I've noticed for me, like 18% body fat up, you'll start getting the male, not male breast tissue. That's more of an effect of hormones. But you'll start to get what appears to be man boobs or moobs, or what do they call them? Bitch tits. I think back when I was in high school, they called them that. Not very nice, but hey, kids are cruel sometimes. And on that note, guys, when you have higher levels of body fat, your body does estrogenize, or the word is aromatase. So even if you have higher testosterone, which you don't, if you have that much body fat, your hormones are out of whack, whether you want to admit it or not. I'd recommend getting your levels checked and start there. But first and foremost, for anyone that asks me, I get a lot of guys that reach out. In fact, most guys that reach out to me and want me to address their fitness goals with them, they're at about the 20% body fat range. So they don't look fat. They don't look obese. They might not have the belly protruding like the higher body fat percentages, but biologically and technically, you still have too much body fat on your frame to have an optimal hormonal environment to reach your fitness goals if you want lower levels of leanness. And for me, I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm going to hold you to my standards. My standards are to be in the fitness level minimum. Usually, I'm more in the lean level. We'll see what that looks like here in a couple slides. But you want to hold yourself to a higher standard, especially once more for guys who follow me and they're looking for this type of fitness advice to attract the opposite sex. Women don't like fat guys. I'm sorry. We hear it all the time. We hear it on the mainstream media. Big is beautiful. Oh, well, that's just mainstream BS trying to pitch us a narrative that's obviously not true, as they do with a lot of stuff. I'll save that for a future topic. But you'll notice one thing. It almost always specifically applies to women. They never say big fat guys are beautiful. In fact, in society, I think most of society still looks at fat guys as gross. And when I was fat, I'll tell you what, the responses I got from people out in public, or especially when it came time to start dating when I was in my high school years, it was not fun. I mean, it was disgust. So if you're out in public, even if you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm all right, or oh, well, it's permissible to be at this body fat level, but you go out and ask out a girl and she has that look on her face, then you probably have some work to do. And Again, I say this with love. I've been at all of these body fat percentages before at some time in my life. So I'm just telling you from my experience and then based on reality, really. So 20% body fat again. You might be able to see just the general shape, and especially a lot of bigger guys, like a lot of like well built guys. They call them like what is it, brick shit houses back in the day. So if you're built like a big burly guy, then a lot of guys fall in this range and they think it's okay, which it is for a lot of guys. I know a lot of girls like the teddy bear kind of cuddly look. But in terms of optimum performance, optimum health, and just overall well being, you still want to get lower if you're at this point. So. Um, Again, muscle definition, there might be some muscle outlines there, or just the appearance that there's muscle underneath the fat, but you won't really get any definition. So a man with this level of body fat typically has a look that people call a soft, and he might have a little pouch on the abdomen. 15% body fat. So now we're starting to get more in range. And guys, normally when I do my body fat, I break these down in different ranges. So like I have like a 15 to 18% range for myself, an 18 to 21% range, 21 to 24% range, and so on. So I do them like 3% ranges. When I did my transformation, I set my body fat goals based on getting down 3 points at a time, because there are different considerations when you get to lower levels of leanness. Again, if you need help one-on-one or anything, go ahead and look at that bottom ticker scrolling on your screen and reach out to me, and I can definitely assist you there. So 15% body fat, for me personally, where I'm at right now, in my life or my fitness journey, 15% body fat is the absolute maximum for me. When you look at normal society, 15% body fat is what's considered good. It's fit in the normal category. So this is, guys, if you're really, really big, I'd say probably try to get to 15% first, and then we'd focus on lower levels of leanness, getting you from 15 to 12%, and then the 12 to 15, or 10 to 12% is where you get that nice beach body look, and then any lower is more your bodybuilding type categories when you start getting into single digits. So a lot of guys look good at 15% body fat. For me, I really don't, because I tend to put my body fat in the flanks, and I don't like having I have the nice V taper. So when you have the V taper and then you have flanks spilling over the side of your jeans in the back, it's still not a good look. So I try to maintain lower levels of leanness. And there's also mental benefits too. So when you're at 15% body fat, you will start having more mental clarity. You'll have more energy. You'll have less fatigue. For guys that are on my channel for dating topics, you'll be able to perform a lot better in the bedroom. Let's just say that. So here it's a guy 15% body fat. That's usually considered by most societal standards in most parts of the world. That's a decent physique. So this percentage of body fat usually fits in the lean and fit category. Outlines of muscle can be seen, but there's not really any clear separation between any of them. Muscles and veins might be seen. I know for me, I get a vein starting to come up my left bicep when I start getting below 15%, but they're covered by a thin layer of fat still. The body shape is present and can be noticed, and this is the good. I'm glad the source of this information agrees with me. This is the max healthy body fat percentage for men. For men that, again, I'm trying to teach you guys how to be optimal. I'm not trying to teach you how to be average, because average is you comparing yourself against society, and society's kind of gross in terms of physiques. I mean, it really is. There's no way about it. And I will say that in a judgment call. It's gross when you let yourself go. That communicates other things, such as your mind's not quite right. There's usually other underlying issues and comorbidities. Healthy people that have healthy minds don't let themselves get to a state where their physical body is literally dying. So 15% should be the goal if you guys are on your body fat journey. And this is just for normal people. I'm not talking about bodybuilders or fitness models or professional athletes or anything. This is just for your average Joe, your normal guy that you see out in society. Again, most of them, I'll go back for those just joining. Most people in society look like these higher percentage, 40%, 35%, 30%, 25%, 20%. So I think if you're starting your weight loss journey, try to strive for 15%. And then from there, once your body gets reestablished at that new set point, then you can start going lower levels of leanness and start making your abs pop and getting that nice fitness model look. Or if you want to go the bigger side, the bodybuilder look. Now, a lot of guys ask me too, at what point should I bulk or cut when they're starting off on their fitness journey? There's a lot of debate in the space, but again, I look at this in terms of appearance in terms of hormonal optimization and in terms of general overall health. So usually, for me now, where I'm at in my fitness journey, I won't bulk if I'm over 15% body fat. Now, I have done it before. I bulked, again, I started bulking, and we'll see the results here in a few slides. I started bulking just under 20% body fat before. I think it was like 19.7. And you can bulk, but you look really, really big, because when you bulk, you hold a lot of water too. You're usually higher carbohydrates, so you're puffy. You spill over, which is a little more advanced for guys that are newbies on this topic. But spillover is when you have too much glucose in blood and your glycogen stores are full. So there's really nowhere for it to go, and it'll just kind of hang out under your subcutaneous layer of your skin. It gives you that puffy look, that bloated look. And then if there's too much, then it stores as fat in your adipose tissue. And I'm prone to bloat too. Like when I eat, if I eat like a lot of carbs and I go to bed, or I don't adequately expend that energy that I just took in, I'll start to get like the chipmunk cheeks. I'll get the bloat too. And right now I'm probably like 12-13% right now. So I can usually tell for me in the face. You'll see in the cover photo, the thumbnail photo, I was lower body fat percentage there, so I had more definition in the face. And in terms of attractiveness, guys, at 15%, again, we're talking about going from higher body fat percentages down to lower body fat percentages. At about 15% is where you'll start to look more attractive in the face. You'll stop getting like the turkey neck, and you won't get like the big chubby cheeks or anything. You'll start to actually have a nice masculine face shape. So keep that in mind too for guys that are looking at this for appearance reasons. So for me, this is my body fat range I typically maintain year round. Coming out of the holidays, I do go a little higher. I never let myself get above 15%. For me, in my mind, I set that as part of my personal credo. It is unacceptable for me to go 15%. But guys, again, if you're new to the journey, you want to aim for 15%. We'll start that as a new set point, and then we'll work on getting lower if those are your goals. If not, we'll want to form your diet and training regimen so you maintain 15%. Now, one thing on that, I like being in the 10 to 12% range because it's sustainable. And also it gives me some headroom in my diet. So if I want to go to like Vegas for the weekend and just be a complete glutton, drink every night, hit up the buffets every day, and just completely let myself go, I can do that for I'd say up to a week or so without going over my 15% range. After that, and especially too having been obese prior, that switch flips in your body where it's like, all right, we're putting on mass now. And if you're not eating correctly, that mass will be fat. Again, your body doesn't care. If you have a surplus of caloric energy, it will store mass. And it really depends on the quality of food you're bringing in, or the ratio between your macronutrients, between your carb and protein ratios. And then fat, that depends on what your fitness goals are. Typically, if you're trying to bulk, for example, you'll go higher carbs with a decent amount of protein, and then you'll want to lower your fat as your macronutrient category. And that's because carbs help shuttle whatever's in your bloodstream into the cell. So if you eat a lot of carbs and there's no protein there, but you have fat there, well, then guess where that's going to go? It has to go somewhere. It can't just hang out in your bloodstream indefinitely. That will cause issues. So on this slide here, again, for people watching, we're looking at a guy in the 10 to 12% range. This level of body fat is a sustainable level for men. So this is something you can ideally maintain. Again, you have to have your diet in check, but there's little tips and tricks that you can do to actually maintain this relatively easily year round. So again, if you want to know how, reach out to me. Go to patreon.com/Menshrine, go to Menshrine.com, sign up for the email list, book one-on-one coaching with me, sponsor a video request for YouTube, and or reach out to me on Instagram, and I'll actually point you in one of those directions, because I need to make a little something for my time. But I can help you figure out these goals and how to do it. Took me a long time in my journey, but I've gotten there, and it works very well for me. I'm very happy in the 10 to 12% body fat range. So again, this for me and for most people that are fit. So for example, if you go to like when I lived in California, I eventually went to one of those fancy gyms where like all the Instagram models hang out. So most people like to be in this range. This is your nice beach body. So once more, sustainable level of body fat for men. Your abs can be seen, but they're not as chiseled or defined as a man with single digit body fat. But this is a body fat percentage that most people strive for, and it's considered the perfect beach body. At this level, there will be some defined veins in the arms and legs possibly, but not as visible as less percentages. And guys, if you get good at doing this time and time again, I always use, for me, I know my body fat because I use my left bicep vein. It's an indicator. So It'll start here. If it's about in the middle, I know that I'm starting to get into range. And as I get leaner, it actually comes up and across my chest. Also, too, when I get lower, I'll start getting veins in my quads. And then when I get into single digits, I have veins all across my quads. And for single digits, I have veins going across my abs too, which is, we'll see here in the next two slides what that looks like. But for guys that are questioning, hey, what body fat percentage should I be at in terms to looks max or increase my attractiveness towards women or optimize my attractiveness, most women prefer body fat ranges for men in this range right here, from 10 to 12% body fat. A lot of times, if you go too lean, it'll gross them out. They'll be like, "Ooh, ew," it kind of freaks them out a bit. Or I've noticed too when I've been in those ranges, a lot of times it makes them insecure. So, like if you're completely jacked, shredded, you have veins running across your abs, and then you have, and she doesn't have to be fit, just an average girl, she will start to feel insecure about her body at that point, unless she's like a fitness model or something. So keep that in mind too. For guys that are on your fitness journey, I recommend that anyone or any guy listening at some point in your life, get down to 10%. It's a really aggressive goal, especially if you're above 20%. And I've been there too before where I thought, oh, I'm 20%. I used to be obese. Well, 20% is not as bad as 38%, which is where I was at my peak level of fatness when I started my fitness journey 15 years ago, or God, 17 years ago now. I used to always lie to myself and say, oh, well, I was obese. I'll never be able to have abs. But then one year, I started getting a little more into my fitness journey, got more deliberate about it, started tracking what I ate, started really documenting my fitness regimen, and then understanding how my body works. And the leaner you get, the more efficient your body gets. The human body is really remarkable. It wants to stay in homeostasis. So once you've clearly defined a set point for it, and the way I define set point is a lot of people ask, for example, oh, how many calories should I be eating daily? I won't get into this in this episode, but they're too much into this. I have a different diet philosophy where I do like more of like a flexible dieting approach. So I think in terms of the long term, like how many calories did I bring in this week? So I'll go to a Chinese buffet and I'll throw down 7,000 to 8,000 calories in a single sitting, but then I'll do something like fast for a day and a half, so that offsets. Or I'll go in a severe deficit during the week, so I can allow myself to cheat during the weekend. Because let's be honest, when you go out in society, most people aren't fitness models. They don't strive to have these lower levels of leanness. So I like to allow myself some flexibility. Monday through Friday, my diet is on point. It's perfect. Weekends, I let myself go a little bit, unless I have like a music festival photo shoot or like a meetup with some buddies. And normally if I go out of town, and especially if it's an opportunity for me to have my shirt off, I usually go in more in higher single digit body fat percentages. So then again, I can let myself go, and still look completely jacked and shredded, even after 3 days of drinking and eating crap. So 10 to 12%, most sustainable for men. This is usually what women prefer. And this is what most people define as the perfect beach body. So I'd recommend wherever you're at in your fitness journey, if you haven't been at this level of leanness before, try to get there at some point. And once more, you can always reach out to me, and I'll go ahead and point you in the right direction as far as how to do that. And it's important to note how to do that on a plan that works for you, because not everyone's different. I'm a big fan of one meal a day, or OMAD type eating protocol. That doesn't work for a lot of people. A lot of people need to eat multiple meals a day. It also depends too, guys, if you're the body type you have between ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. And ectomorph is like more of your hard gainer type guys. These are guys that are like skinny their whole lives, and they have to eat, and they slam down pizzas and donuts and full sugar sodas, and they just can't put on the weight. So you have those guys. Those guys are actually more prone to skinny fat if they're not eating correctly in training. So they'll have a smaller stature, but they'll still look like guys in usually like kind of like this 20% photos what skinny fat guys look like. There's your mesomorphs. Those are the guys that have been dealt the genetic hand by God. Where I have friends like this too, and I had people in my family like this, and it was really tough when I was struggling through my fat loss journey initially. Guys, they can just eat whatever they want, and they always look like this 10 to 12 ideal beach body physique. So some people just are dealt that hand genetically. And then there's other guys. I fall in this category. I'm more of an endomorph, where that's my frame likes to put on mass. It doesn't matter if it's fat or muscle. So I tweak my diet to where it's muscle. I actually starve my body of putting on fat, but I do eat a lot in terms of just keeping the lean muscle mass maintained. So again, there's a lot of considerations when it comes to fitness, but in general, at some point in your life, strive for 10 to 12%. You'll be really happy you did, and you'll want to stay there, to be honest. Okay. Oh, my images skipped a couple ranges. So we took a jump from the 10 to 12% range to 6 to 7% range. So we're missing the 8 and 9% range. However, if you look at the cover photo or the thumbnail for this video, I was in that range there. I was 9% body fat in that photo. For me, if I go to like events or music festivals or something, I'll normally roll out in like the 8 to 9% range. And again, that allows me some flexibility for a few days. So even if I do put on a little bit of fat, I'm already so lean that I will still look very good. And actually, when I eat a lot of crap, especially after hard dieting down, your muscles fill out and your skin is so thin that it starts to pop. But so that's like your 8 and 9% category. Again, if you want reference for that, go to my Instagram. That's in my profile photo. I'm 9% body fat. And then in the thumbnail for this YouTube video, I'm 9% body fat. And for me, I can note it in my face. So I start getting more of like the masculine definition of my face when I'm high single digits of body fat. In this slide, we're looking at a guy. This looks more like a fitness model, like someone, if you were to pick up like a Men's Health magazine or just when you go to like a fitness gym where people compete for fitness. So there's a difference between fitness and bodybuilding categories, or fitness, bodybuilding, and powerlifting. So fitness models, they normally aren't as big as bodybuilders, but they still have that nice, what I go for is called the golden ratio, and you have definition all over. So it's 6 to 7% body fat. This level isn't quite as extreme as like a professional bodybuilder level. However, when you get to this level, you can do it. I've been down to this level before. I actually haven't gone lower. So previously, when I said I've been at all of these levels, I haven't been like low single digits. It's 6 to 7%. I start feeling pretty weak energy wise. I get grumpy. I have a crappy mood, and my body doesn't function as efficiently because at that point, you're essentially getting down to like kind of starvation levels, and you have to do a lot of tips and tricks to maintain the muscle fullness underneath that lean skin. Guys, if you're fans of like bro science, he calls it like dick skin, which I'm like 13% now. Do I have it? So dick skin's like that really lean skin that you get on your arm where there's like no fat under there. So at this level, like mid single digit body fat percentages, specifically on this slide for those that are seeing the visual, it's very difficult to maintain and it's not easily sustainable. However, if you want to get down to that level, try it out at some point. You might be able to do it. And you might be able to stay there for a little bit, but it requires a lot more effort. This level is characterized by muscle definition in most muscle groups and very clear vascularity, showing of your veins in areas such as arms, legs, and abs. Again, if you guys look at my Instagram, scroll down, there's photos where there is a photo where I'm taking my shirt off over my head and I'm at about this level. And you can see everything is defined. Even muscles I didn't even realize I had are very, very clearly defined at this level. The only problem is that it's difficult to stay at this level, as I've mentioned. And for my fitness philosophy, it really comes to, for me, I don't like spending a lot of time doing this stuff. Once I built my physique and I was happy with where it's at in that, and again, this 10 to 12% range is normally where I stay. For me, it's optimal because I don't have to think too much. I can do minimal workouts in the gym. I can watch my diet. I have to keep certain parameters in place, but I can let myself go a bit and still stay at 10 to 12%. If I ever go over, get near 15%, I'll just fast for a couple days, or I'll get really strict on my diet for 2 weeks, and I'm fine. So right now, I think I'd probably say I'm at 13%, but I have an event here in 2-3 weeks. My goal in my head is to always be photo ready. So if someone it's like, hey, we want you to do a photo shoot, or oh, we're going to an event, like, oh, there's a music festival coming up, there's a concert, there's a wedding in a tropical destination. I'm always 2 weeks away from looking like this, 10 to 12%. Sometimes I'll overshoot and I will get into lower digits, but that's fine. That allows me some flexibility to once more let myself go a bit. However, I did mention earlier that at this percentage, I went to a music festival one time at higher single digit body fat percentages. And with the dehydration, all the drinking all weekend and not eating, I did get dehydrated and actually ended up in a nurse's station with an IV in my arm. So you want to be careful when you start getting to lower levels of leanness. But you know what, guys, to be honest, by the time you start getting to these lower levels, you should have already figured out your body to get to this point, because it requires you to know your body to get to this point, and you'll know how things function. You'll have that mind muscle connection. You'll be able to feel biologically how your systems are working synergistically, and you'll know, hey, there's something off. So it takes a mindset shift to start getting down these levels. And then this last slide. 3 to 4% body fat. And you know what? I think I've seen guys even lower. Like this is really, really lean, or as the slide says, ridiculously lean. So bodybuilders, especially when they're stage ready or they're competition ready, they will drop to a body fat percentage at like 3 to 4%. And I've seen bodybuilders, and I know bodybuilders that actually go lower for competitions. So at this level, you can see in the photo, like you can see everything. There's 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 really no body fat, 3 to 4% body fat. It's really probably just essential body fat that you have for basic biological functions at this point. And you can see this guy, like you can literally see every single, you can see veins all over his physique. So this level of body fat, the muscles, veins, striations. So striations are rod-looking stripes of muscles. So I get them in my chest. They're real nice, and they run across here. Are very visible. This is a very low level of body fat, and probably the lowest level of body fat you should have, unless you seriously know what you're doing. But when you get below this level, you're going to start having issues, like from like a basic biological function, because your body does need some essential body fat just to function properly. And that's what it says down here. So 2% body fat is the barest essential minimum needed for organs to properly function. And again, guys, I've mentioned when I'm typically 10 to 12%. If I start getting to these levels, I start feeling it personally. I have no energy. My sleep is off. My attitude is complete crap. And I have a really hard time just getting through the day. So that's why I set my range for bueno. Ideally, what did I just say? Bueno. So ideally, what women find attractive, 10 to 12%. So that's 3 to 4%. So on this next slide, that sums up the different ranges for those just joining. I will walk through them again. So again, description here on the left-hand column, we have the different body fat categories. We have a nice breakdown of all of those in comparison. And we see here 40% body fat, that's morbidly obese. 35%, that's still pretty fat. That's in the obese category. 30%, this is probably what I looked like most of growing up. I did hit peak fatness in high school at 38%. 25%, it's still technically obese, but you're getting more into an average range. Again, average is based on you in comparison to the rest of the population, not compared to fit people. So let's make a distinction here. This is not average for a person who goes to the gym and a person who takes their health seriously. This is average for regular people. And hopefully, if you follow me, you're striving to be a little more than regular. Hopefully, you're trying to be optimal. 20% body fat. This is that soft look. Most skinny fat guys look more or less like this photo here. 15% body fat. That's what you want to strive for if you're on your fat loss journey and you've never had lower percentages of body fat. Aim for this first. Let your body set the new set point, and then from here we can adjust to get you into the leaner levels if those are your goals. 10 to 12% body fat, that's ideal. This is what women find most attractive. This is what, for me personally, I look and feel best at this point. My mental clarity is there at this point. And sleeps regular, rock hard erections in the morning. Everything in the bedroom is solid, and just overall, mentally, physically, emotionally, just all systems wise, everything is in check and everything is optimal for me at this point. And you know what? To be honest, for pretty much most people at this point. For those of you hardcore people out there, the lower levels of leanness, we're starting to get into fitness model type territory, like 6 to 7%, and then bodybuilder, like legit guys that are professional and who know what they're doing, who have been training to get to this point in the first place. They get down to the lower single digit body fat percentages, and I wouldn't recommend going any lower than this. You will start having health complications at that point if you're not careful, unless you seriously know what you're doing. But even then, I still wouldn't recommend it. So here is a body fat breakdown. I'm not at this body fat percentage anymore. I haven't been there in a long time. But for guys, especially some of my coaching clients, you'll be familiar with this. So we get into these activities where we plan your diet. We'll do the golden ratio calculator at some point, and then I have actually a fat loss worksheet where you plug in your results, and then we can actually track with the trend line your goals, and then we can adjust your calories and your diet based on your habits to determine how lean do you want to be and how soon do you want to be that lean and how much do you want to eat a day. And I'll ask you a bunch of considerations, and we can actually map it out with trend lines and charts and graphs and all that, so you can plan your fat loss journey. So for those who saw my fat to fit transformation video not too long ago, I'll put a link in the description. Go and watch that. But when I started my bulk after my divorce, where I let myself go a bit, I was drinking a lot and I was smoking cigarettes, and just I wasn't very healthy at that point. But mentally, I wasn't healthy. I was in a bad place. So when I got to the point where I'm like, okay, this is done, time to start bulking, I fell in the category a lot of you guys do. And like I say, the skinny fat look. So I was pretty big. If you look here on the left-hand column, and for guys listening, so what this chart is, it gives me some metrics on the left-hand side. And these are metrics I got from a DEXA scan. I believe specifically this one was a Fit 3D scan that comes with the DEXA scan. So this information came from the DEXA scan, and then the visuals came from a panoramic Fit 3D. And if you guys haven't done it, it's actually really cool for the Fit 3D. You stand on this platform and you like hold these two levers in your hand, and it rotates and it takes a 360 panoramic image of you. So you can see what you look like from a perspective outside of yourself, which I always advocate. Learn to step outside of yourself and look back at yourself and be honest with yourself, because it really helps you go through your goals and get there a lot quicker, because again, you're being honest and you have a starting point. You have a starting point to assess. So guys, if you do sign up for my coaching services at some point, I am going to ask you about your physique. And if you are not healthy, I will highly recommend you get something like a DEXA scan or a Fit 3D, or measure your body fat in some way, because then we can plug it into these calculators and literally map out your journey for you. So at this point in my journey, like I said, I'm probably about 13% right now. At this point in my journey, I was just shy of 20%, which is too heavy to start bulking, based in my opinion. I know a lot of guys will say to the contrary, but you're gonna put on a little bit of body fat when you bulk. So in here in this chart, so I was 19.61% body fat. I weighed 213.2 pounds at the time. So this is important. Fat mass was 41.8 pounds. So that's a lot of fat. A plate in the gym, a standard gym, weighs 45 pounds. So I always say for guys like, oh, well, if guys that are watching, you can see here, I've got a decent body shape. I don't have any fat overhanging my gut, even here. Even in the back, you don't see my flanks or anything. So I have a nice masculine shape to me. I was just a little pudgy, just a little softer, just a little spongier. I lived in Texas at the time, so girls actually like this quite a bit, because I was big. I was a big boy. They call me the bovine down there, and girls liked me. They're like, oh, I feel safe with you. I feel comfortable. I feel secure, but you're squishy. You're not super lean. They didn't get insecure because I had like that model level leanness or anything. So for some guys, this might be a good place for you. But again, if you're talking in terms of fitness and overall health, this is the absolute maximum you should be if you want to be an average person. If you want to be a fit person or an exceptional person, I'd say 15% should be your ceiling. But again, it depends on your goals. Guys that have more kind of like powerlifting type goals, you'll have higher levels of body fat, because you need higher levels of body fat to lubricate the joints and support all of those increased loads that you're putting on your system. But even I've done, usually this time of year, I'll do like a more powerlifting type regimen, because I like to eat a lot over the holidays. So I need to expend that extra energy to offset the increased calories that I'm putting in my system. However, this year I hurt my knee and I got COVID, which was awesome. So there was 3 weeks I didn't go to the gym, and I just stayed on my normal diet. So obviously 3 weeks out of the gym is enough for my composition to change. So all of my metrics, if you looked at me in clothes, everything looks the same. My scale weight's the same. But I know in my head, and I can tell by looking at my face and my muscle separation and my vascularity. Vascularity is the appearance of veins under your skin, that I was higher than I'd like to be. So that's coming down. Obviously, I probably did get up to near my 15% ceiling, which is my absolute personal max. And I'm on my way back down. In 2 weeks, I'll be shredded again, which is always really nice. I always feel better as I'm starting to get leaner. And guys, if you haven't been there before, I will not stress this enough. Try it at some point in your life. Try to get down to 10%. You don't have to go under 10%. And even if you don't get to 10% and you land at like 12, 13%, you will be very, very surprised at the marked difference between higher levels of body fat and lower levels of body fat. Not just in appearance, not just in looks you get from the girls when you're out in public, when they're batting their little eyes at you and they come up and, oh, I want to touch you. That's all nice. It's a great confidence boost, but you feel good. And for me, my fitness goals are the following. I want to maximize well-being. I want to minimize the amount of things I put in my body. I do other supplements. I'm on TRT and I do a low HGH dose daily. But I do what's a philosophy called its minimally viable dose. So that's the minimal amount of exogenous supplementation that I need for my body to be optimal. I never go outside of physiological ranges, because I don't want any of the health consequences in the future that may potentially come with that. So again, back on this slide, I was just shy of like 20% body fat. That's where I started my journey. In a future video, I will go through my DEXA scan breakdowns, and I'll show you the evolution, and then I'll show you how to read a DEXA scan and why DEXA scans are important. There's many ways to measure your body fat, but DEXA scans for me, I've found none of them are perfect, by the way, but DEXA scan is the most accurate. And when you measure your body fat, you want to do it at regular intervals, or at least before a transformation. So if you're starting a new fitness regimen and a new diet, I always recommend do a baseline before, And then at the end of that transformation period or whatever plan you're on, you want to take a DEXA scan after so you can undeniably say that this was my progress. These are results I achieved. And when you document everything and you do it like I have for like 15, 16, I'm at 17 years now of my fitness journey. I can look back at any point and be like, oh, this is what works. This is what doesn't work. Oh, I need to grow my chest out. Oh, I need to do this. I need to lose this amount of weight in this much time. I know exactly how to do it. And that actually for the last 2 or 3 years, I'm at that point where I don't even read my notes anymore. I pull this stuff up to do these broadcasts, but I instinctually know in my head and I intuitively know in my gut exactly what I need to do to get to where I want to be, physique wise or fitness wise. So again, fat mass at this point for guys looking at the slide, 41.8 pounds. That's still quite a bit of fat. That's a plate at the gym. So imagine wherever you're at now, take a plate from the gym, just put it on your back, and then just walk around with it all day long, forever, every single day. So that's why it's important. You do want to get this down because it puts less stress on your body in general. In my lean mass, it's 171.4 pounds. That's probably about right. I'm doing my calculations. That's probably about where I'm at. I like to stay in the 170 to 175 pound range. And it does depend based on height too, guys. So I should have mentioned that. So I'm 5'11". I'm just shy of 6 foot. So on good days, I'm a little under 6 foot. On bad days, maybe I'm a little under 5'11". And that does change. That changes based on your body, your level of stress, your physique. Different I've noticed in different elevations that my stature will change just a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. It's not noticeable. It's not pronounced or anything like that, but it does change a little bit. So keep in mind here for me at 5'11", these are these numbers. So at 5'11", at 213 pounds with 171.4 pounds lean body mass, I was just under 20% body fat, which is a skinny fat look. And if you look at these photos, you don't see any fat visibly hanging over, but it's just a little softer than what I'd like. And of course, it's not to brag or anything, but I know the nature of people, especially on YouTube, like, oh, no way, you never got that before. So this was the first time that I made the decision, like, you know what, I'm going to get to 10% body fat and I'm going to have abs, God damn it. Told myself for years that I would never get past this point. That was my mental set point and my physical set point for years. And even when I let myself go, I could still hover around 20% body fat. I made a goal. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get below 10% body fat. And for me, didn't even know what that would look or feel like, but I started getting really lean, levels of leanness I'd never been to before. And I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, all right, we'll go do a DEXA scan. So I came in at 9.7% body fat on my first DEXA scan after that. I have been lower. Actually, at this point, I think I stayed on that diet for like 2 or 3 more weeks. So I got a lot lower. However, that's when I went to the music festival and had my my almost heat stroke because it was super hot and I was dehydrated. So at that point, I was that's where I decided, okay, I'll stay in the 10 to 12 range. And what's nice about DEXA scans too, guys, is you can look in the mirror. One, if you don't already do so, and you're in any sort of gym journey, take pictures in the mirror, take your bathroom selfies so you can see the evolution of your physique. And then also, okay, if I take a picture today in the mirror, I look and feel like this. I look at my diet. Okay, here's how I ate to get to this point. Here's my training. Here's the regimen I was on. Here's what my schedule and my routine looks like. And then I do a DEXA scan and say, okay, if I do this consistently, I can be at just under 10% body fat. Well, for me, at this point is when I set my new set point at 10%. So I always aim for 10%, but I'll let myself get to 12%, 15% max. 15% is unacceptable. Anything above that for me. You'll notice when I did that, I did lose a little bit of the lean mass. So my lean mass went from 174, lost a little bit of muscle, but not too much. And this one actually breaks it down. So this is just total lean mass. This one breaks it down, lean mass in terms of like muscle mass and then bone mass. So your bones do weigh something. And actually your bones don't weigh as much as you think, guys. My bones weigh 7.1 pounds. And when I was obese as a kid, they used to always say, kind of like on South Park, like, you're not fat, you're big boned. Well, I am big boned. I have a wide frame. I'm more blocky. I'm more square than I am long and lanky for my height, which is nice because I don't have to put a ton of muscle on my frame for it to look like I'm really, really buff. But at 172, just under 172 here, lean mass. And then after I got really lean, total fat-free mass at 167.5. That's still pretty big for a guy. It's 5'11". And for me, that's the ideal range for me. So to sum it all up, I'll go back to the first slide. We can see here the different body fat ranges. Again, obese is 30% plus, overweight's 22 to 29%, average 17 to 21%, fitness 13 to 16%, athletes 6 to 12%, and essential fat 2 to 5%. We have all of the breakdowns here. So let me see if I have any comments. Yep, let me get to some of these comments here. Let's see how long I've been going. Okay, good. I'm just shy of an hour. So, does homework help out in loose fat? I don't know exactly what you are asking there. I'd say doing your homework is great. You want to be aware of where you are fitness wise. I know some guys I'll suggest this stuff to, and they're like, "Oh, that's not for me," or "I can't track it." That's fine if you don't think you can track it. I always say in your fitness journey, you want to stay consistent and you want to make sure you adhere to it. Those are the most important things to do to change the habit, and then just make that a lifestyle instead. So I'd recommend the way I do my fitness journey is if I have a new regimen or I have new goals in the gym, and again, I haven't had new goals in like 2 or 3 years. My goals are to age gracefully and maintain optimum health overall. So once you get to the point, it's really easy to maintain. In fact, it's harder for me to gain fat now and then lose it again. So I don't do bulk and cut cycles anymore than it is just to maintain it. Like it takes very little effort for me to maintain because I've been at this level of leanness for so long. Let's see the next one. I'm doing calisthenics at home and I'm seeing a nice, good result. Good, good, good. I'm glad you are. Um, and guys, yeah, I do make a point. You don't have to go to the gym and do the bodybuilding route, or you don't have to do the powerlifting route. Really, in terms of body fat, you can lose body fat really doing any sort of physical activity. And even so, like there's times I've need to lose a few pounds and I just don't feel like doing cardio. So I just increase more of a caloric deficit in my diet. However, I don't like going in too much of a caloric deficit because then it starts affecting your energy and your well-being and your mental clarity. And again, my number one goal is to optimize health and age gracefully. So for me, that doesn't fit my personal fitness goal set. And also to a lot of people get confused. There's a difference between fat loss and weight loss. So weight loss is just an effect of scale weight. It's overall body mass, which is why I'm not a huge fan of body mass index calculators because for example, me, 5'11", I'm probably just under 200 pounds now. I stopped weighing myself a couple years ago because that was like a psychological thing for me. I had to overcome the former fat kid mindset. So I don't weigh myself anymore. I can just look in the mirror and I can feel my own body to know where I'm at. So I'm probably at 197 to 202 range right now. So so for me, I don't really focus on scale weight because scale weight is just an effect of mass. It's literally the effect that gravity has on your frame. BMI calculators I don't like because it doesn't take into consideration the body composition. Technically, if I put my numbers in a BMI calculator, I would be obese still. However, if I take my shirt off, I'm clearly not obese. Let's see. This question: with getting an aesthetic body and weightlifting is bad to be 20 or 30 pounds overweight. Um, it depends on how tall you are. So let's say you're some kind of freak of nature giant, and let's say like 6'7". I don't have the calculations in front of me, and it's been so long since I've done it in my head. But if you're taller, you can afford to have more body fat on your frame. But we can go back to these slides. So for example, for me, I was 20% body fat with 41.8 pounds, let's say 42 pounds on my frame. So if you're 5'11" and you have 42 pounds of fat on your frame and 172 lean mass, then yeah, that might be okay for you if those are your goals. However, normally I stay, yeah, fat mass is 17.9 pounds. So normally I am around 20 pounds total fat on my frame. When I start getting lower, like 15 to 17 range, that's when I'm really, really jacked. And I still have little pockets of fat. Like I'll get some on my inner thighs. I'll have like a little left on my flanks, not a lot. And remember, guys, you do need some essential body fat. So um, for that question, I can't give you a definitive answer until I know your situation, especially your height and your lean muscle mass, or just your overall total lean mass for that. But reach out to me directly. Like I said, look at the ticker, patreon.com/Menshrine. Reach out to me for coaching, sponsored video request, and I can definitely help you with that. And then King Nick, salute. All right. Yeah. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you guys joining my cast. And you know what? For now, I think that will go ahead and wrap it up. I'll be doing a lot more videos on these topics in the future. I think for future ones, I'll start doing like diet trackers, and I'll break down how to read a DEXA scan. I do recommend DEXA scans, so that'll be a future topic here in the short term. I know we're coming new into the year, so a lot of guys are starting their fat loss journeys to look good for the spring and summertime. So I'll be doing more of these topics. And That should wrap it up for today's broadcast. To reach me again, guys, go to Menshrine.com. That's the hub for all my content. You can see on the top menu there that's where you can find my coaching services, video request, sponsored video request, and you can donate if you like what I'm doing and just like, hey, want to support me somehow. I do have a premium men's group. There's no one in there yet because I just launched it recently, but that will change very quickly as I scale my channel, and you can find that at patreon.com/Menshrine for my audio only people. Thank you for joining. I'm on all the major podcast platforms if you prefer to listen rather than watch. And for you podcast listeners, I will put links in the description to the slide deck in the video so you can get an idea of these visuals I was going through. And that should do it for today's broadcast. Once more, I want to thank you all for joining, and be sure to follow me, reach out, and leave comments, likes, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. And that should do it. Thank you, everyone.